Who's going to start the show?
I just want to say this is going to be our intro. I'm just going to say this is our intro.
This is our intro. Okay,
This is our
we're
intro.
doing it live. All right. So I guess I'll introduce myself. My name's Nick.
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Joel.
And the other person who seems to have stopped talking all of a sudden is Joel.
I'm Joel.
Would you like to... you sounded very quiet then. Could you say something again?
I'm Joel.
Sorry, you just sounded
Hello.
very distant a second ago.
Yeah,
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
God. Okay.
Okay, we have awful lot of like nothing space. So you want to just do the resync one more time?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Right.
So
I'm moving my mic away a little bit, so when I laugh, it doesn't peak.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got a spit or a P, whatever it's called, filter.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully
But
God, I thought you just said you were just going to start peeing for a second there.
No, I've got the P filter. I think I actually pulled myself away from the mic, so it just went completely. Okay, let's just go with what we got.
Okay, yeah. This is our intro. This is
Yeah,
we
this is
are,
our
we
intro.
Are
This
professional
is,
podcasters. This is
Yes,
oh, Jesus
professionalism.
Christ.
this is the most professional thing ever. So if you want to edit
God,
down the
what
beginning,
are we gonna call this thing?
yeah. So I have been very busy all week. I have not come up with a single decent name that I could remember off the top of my head. I thought of a couple, and then nothing. So you guys take it away if you guys have any names.
Okay,
well,
I have
after we talked on last Saturday, I
Yeah.
had a song stuck in my head, and it was "Horse with No Name" from Americana.
So yes, it's called a whores with no name. Sweet.
Yeah.
No, I mean
No,
whore,
but we
as in
can't call
whores,
it that.
prostitutes, sex workers.
Yeah.
Or sex workers with no name. Despite the fact we've already introduced ourselves, and one of us is technically underage for one of the other people. So you know.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Anyway,
mean-
I tried
yeah.
to write a song, like about a podcast with no name, but I hadn't
Ooh, I do
didn't
quite like
have
that
the time
actually,
to.
podcast with no name. That works. Sorry.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but we can insert it here. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name, listening to a podcast with no aim, and it had Nick and Matt and John talking about fuck all. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast with no aim. The podcast with no aim. Yeah, this podcast got a name. This the podcast with no aim. So now you can laugh and act like you heard the song.
Yeah, and what
So,
actually, you know, I like the idea of the name podcast with no aim.
Oh. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
I
think that. Yeah.
mean, mine, the ones I came up with were An Hour of Your Life That You'll Never Get Back, and The Cookcast, which are both terrible names.
A what cast?
Cookcast, which is basically an internet insult.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first one is very relevant to this current conversation.
Yeah. We are slowly heading towards the abyss, and we're here talking about meaningless bollocks.
Sounds fun to me.
Existential comedy. Oh, we're all gonna
Could
die.
it be an hour of bollocks? Is there a podcast titled "Hour of Bollocks"?
Oh, that's
have
another
no
one I
idea.
came up with. I'm pretty sure I may have stolen this from an old podcast we used to listen to, but I, at one point, small cocks and massive pricks came into my mind.
It's so rude.
I know, that's why I love it.
Well, there goes any chance for advertising revenue. So
Yeah, and I think I'm
Don't worry
going
about it.
to
We'll
be.
write your Squarespace. You know, Squarespace do everything. It's fine.
yeah, they do just about anything, and we just lost them as an opportunity.
Speaking of massive
This
bricks,
is not sponsored
here's
by
our
Squarespace, but
advert.
please sponsor
No.
us, Squarespace. Yeah, but I'd be let down because I don't really like to swear that much.
No, I think
Yeah.
podcast with no aim's quite a good one. I think that's yeah.
Yeah, I really like that
Yeah.
one.
Although I think it's clever enough that it probably already exists, so we'll have to check that after this. And if it is, then welcome to Podcast with No Aim. I'm gonna clap.
Yay!
Hey. All right. Well, we'll figure out the name thing. You'll probably actually, well, if you're downloading this off our website, future website, you'll know what the name
So
is.
welcome to the small
No, present
Podcast
website.
Bricks Cast.
Present website. Yes.
So yeah, welcome to our hour of
An hour of
it's
bollocks.
just, that could be the name
Can
of
we
the
do that?
episode. That's just the name of the
Well,
episode.
Let's just record all of them. Oh yeah, an hour of bollocks. Yeah, that fits. We could do that.
I actually also wanted to say when I had the idea was with the horse with no name and then podcast with no name or horse with no podcast and so on. I googled a lot of the stuff and there were a surprising amount of equestrian themed podcasts.
I could believe that. Yeah.
And it's really strange. I didn't listen to them, but
No, that seems
I
weird,
just
'cause,
can't
like,
imagine.
I can't
What-
imagine there just being like weekly news updates that you'd get in like video game podcasts or political podcasts of just. So this week in the horse industry, glue factory sales are on the rise. Like, what is he gonna say?
Well, I mean, there is horse racing, so they could have sports
Yeah.
news, but just regular
You-
horse riding.
If you've ever gone to like the newsstand or anything, there's usually a lot of horse magazines and stuff. There's like a surprisingly high number.
Yeah, and there are
of them.
also lots of tractor magazines and
What?
things. Tractor magazines. Which
Well,
are just
yeah.
the most bland, awful things you can possibly read.
Well, I think anything that you spend tens of thousands of dollars on a regular basis to have and use, that you probably have a magazine associated with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know of other animal-themed podcasts?
Well, I know there's dog and cat ones.
But well, that makes sense, but then now I'm thinking,
What,
well, also a horse podcast makes sense, because people also like horses, but...
Is there like a sea sponge podcast?
There's a podcast
Oh,
called...
no. Oh, I'm sorry. That's SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm sorry.
There's a podcast called No Such Thing as a Fish, which was actually
I love
the...
that podcast.
Oh, really? It was
Yeah,
the
I
first
listened to it,
podcast I listened to, because I was given the QI like general ignorance book for
Alright.
Christmas 1 year, and then I started listening to the podcast, and yeah, I stopped listening to it because it got too listicle for me. I don't know. It's just...
It did sort of change in format, but they've got like
Yeah.
2 series of a TV show version of it as well, so it's doing fairly well.
Hmm.
Oh, and on the subject of QI, has anyone seen the new series with Sandy Toksvig as the host?
I
I have
wanted
no
to.
idea what you guys are talking about.
Oh my god, you've never heard of QI? Oh my god, you poor man. Okay,
QI.
QI is
Yeah.
basically a quiz show that Stephen Fry hosted that was basically just a celebration of the most stupid facts of like the first episode or like the second episode, they basically asked how many moons does the Earth have, and the main co-host every episode just smacked the buzzer and went 1, and the buzz went off, but just like just saying it was wrong.
The klaxon.
Yeah, the klaxon, that's it, and it went off, and he was like, no, there's 2. And then like 3 series later, they asked the same question. He smacked the buzzer again and went 2, and the klaxon went off. And he said, no, in fact, now we got it wrong.
Yeah, but
It's like,
that's really beautiful, I think, that
it is,
they...
it's so, and there was another
dare to
episode where
admit.
he answered, because he's like obsessed with the blue whale. And then there was one episode where if you got the most points, you lost. and it was the only episode where they asked a blue whale question where the blue whale was the answer. He hit it and got 100 bonus points.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful show.
I think
it's so funny.
somebody's pointed that show out to me before, but it's not available to me. I mean,
I think there's quite a few
in
episodes on
American
YouTube
stuff,
actually.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always watch it on YouTube.
I'd have to look it up. I think it's just something that I've been unaware of. Yeah, so
Yeah, they always have celebrities on there too, on the panels, but
yeah.
maybe not celebrities you know. I don't know.
They had the main
Yeah.
singer from Slipknot on a few weeks ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was actually quite interesting. He actually did quite a bit. It was really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like
That's a pretty smart guy.
panel shows and things like what's it, Mock the Week? Have you seen that?
Yeah, yeah.
Mock the Week's.
Mm-mm.
Mock the Week's. Oh my god, you did start watching panel shows, dude. Right. Mock the Week was basically. Mock the Week was basically just this show where it was just 6 comedians and Dara O'Brien was the host. Would come on and just start ragging on the news and things. Fairly standard thing, but what made it special for the first few series was Frankie Boyle. Because anyone who knows Frankie Boyle is a offensive comedian, but mother of God is he watchable sometimes. So I remember one line that he said, which was, "Susan Boyle is not related to me. None of my family will ever get out of that pit." Like fucking dark stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy what little British television I have seen. I got stuck in a hotel room waiting on people, and I ended up watching Through the Keyhole.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lemon. Yeah,
It's-
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah, and what's the game show that's really popular too? Countdown.
Countdown's
Never heard of it.
How have you never heard of right? Oh my god, this is just
Yeah.
one person explains British TV shows.
You know,
to
I
other
only-
people.
I've only heard of it because I was a big fan of the IT Crowd.
Oh, that was such a good
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I had to sit down and watch it, and then I ended up
Oh my God,
watching
there was actually an
British
episode of
television for
Countdown
at
where
least 2 hours.
someone
And
in
so,
the show, like an actual episode, was wearing a T-shirt that said "Good evening, that's a nice Tanatumba," which that just makes me happy. Just knowing that and no one picked up on it the entire episode because the main character just
Me neither.
the guy who's on Countdown in the IT crowd just made up that word basically and won. And then in the episode of the
right.
in the
Yeah.
actual episode of the IT crowd, he was just wearing a black shirt with just that written on it. And the internet was watching on Twitter, and it was like just someone picked up on it, and it went everywhere, and no one commented on the entire show. It was so weird.
yeah.
How did we get here?
Yeah, I
Our
think that's
podcast, no such thing as a first QI.
I don't know.
then
We
panel shows
it's
written.
we were
Right.
talking about the name, and then we were talking about other podcasts, and then you started educating the American on this call
And let me
about
speak to
British
you
television.
Americans exclusively for a second. What the fuck?
What about? I don't know what you're referring to.
How do you not know
exactly.
about
Are you
panel
talking about
shows from
the,
Britain? How can you...
No, okay. So, are you talking about the obsessiveness over like 80s nostalgia that's washed over?
Do you know what? Any Americans that are listening, I'm gonna let them decide what I mean.
About 80s nostalgia.
It's about anything.
Okay.
I think Americans.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone
I
needs
heard
to
that
shout
Trump
what
guy
the fuck happened.
who was really popular in the 80s is all over the news. But that's about all. Yeah.
That's not. It's not significant, and I don't know what you're talking about. I am in firm
Well,
denial.
it's all about the remakes
that's-
from the 80s, and we're just gonna
Yes, and currently we're in the middle of remaking.
well, it's gonna be Bush and
Yeah,
what was that guy?
remaking Bush.
Reagan? Yeah, I brought him up
Reagan,
last time we
yeah.
talked, but but we're gonna do it bigger and better and less coherent. So, yeah.
Just like all American remakes.
Yeah, 80s nostalgia. We're doing a remake right now, and the entire country's involved. So That's my input. Yeah, that's about it.
Now let's move far away from America and
please.
just let's go to the other side of the world. Let's go to Australia. I don't think anything's happened in Australia, but it seems like a nice place to be at the moment.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
they're
it's
they censor the internet a lot there.
but it's warm. It's I
Yeah,
think
but I mean that's coming anyway. That's happening.
I think right
Yeah.
now is a nice time to be in Australia, maybe because the weather is warm, I imagine, and by the way, I'm from Germany and
Yeah.
it snowed, and I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, well, no, it snowed the whole time I was in Munich.
Snow is a weird thing for me because as someone who goes to school, you'd think I pray for snow. Like I borderline like worship snow when winter comes because I get a day off school and then I can just. I don't want that. I do not
It's a
want
pain
to
in
be
the
left alone. Just in the middle of nowhere. Like if I look out the window right now, all I can see is a vast expanse of fields with nothing in them that are just soaked with rain because that's all Britain ever is. It's just perpetual rain and misery and death, and we're all gonna die someday.
Well, the last time I was in England was, oh gosh, 2 years ago.
Oh,
Anyway,
we can get back to that.
and I was
Yeah.
there for 2 weeks, and it didn't rain. And
Oh
I
yeah,
was
that
like,
was
wow.
2 weeks of that was 2 weeks
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the
it's really
past
great.
Yeah.
millennium. It didn't rain. It was we partied in the streets.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I was there, it didn't rain, but it was so
Yeah,
windy.
winds a bugger in here as
Uh,
well. Yeah.
Well, but then at the end of the 2 weeks, we went to Cardiff for we stayed a night in Cardiff, and in like a main square there were some benches or no like blocks of concrete, I think they were, to sit on, and they were all covered in pigeon dirt except one.
Yeah.
And so we sat down there to have lunch, and then it did rain, but not water, but
Oh no!
and it went right down my
Oh.
neck and
Oh.
slid down my back and was really
Oh.
and it was a long way home, well, to the hotel, and
You know, some people consider that good luck.
Those
If-
people
if-
are idiots, and I hate them.
yeah. Yeah.
But you said it rained, so I'm assuming like not just a bird, but like a whole bunch of birds.
Yeah, I'm getting like you remember that Alfred Hitchcock film, what was it called, The Birds or something?
The birds, but you know,
Yeah,
you
where
didn't
it's
see
just,
any
like,
bird
that end
crap
scene,
on anything.
That end scene where there's just all the birds in one room, and instead of like trying to eat her, they're just all trying to leave that on her.
Okay.
Yeah. That
That's scary.
No, I don't
Yeah.
know. When do you think you can call it rain? Like that was one drop, basically. But when
oh
does
We
it?
call that spitting. That's like you think that's a joke. That's genuinely what we basically
Yeah, I
call it.
know,
Just
I
like,
know, right.
It's spitting,
But-
yeah.
yeah, it's a drizzle.
Drizzle, yeah.
Drizzle, yeah. I'm trying to think of.
I just tend to just go straight for rain.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a pessimist.
Well,
Anyway.
you know, like you know, living in Seattle and stuff, you would just say it's a normal day. So
Yeah.
yeah, and don't you dare carry an umbrella. People will look at you funny.
No, I just wear a hat and a scarf.
Yeah.
Just even when, like, that's just what I wear around, like, the town. Like, even when it's not raining, I'm just in a hat and scarf. Because it's coming, you can feel it.
Yeah. So I have a question. You guys are both from Europe. Why do you guys think it's so cold all the time?
Well, I have a very limited knowledge of geography, but I thought the further away from the equator we are, the colder it gets.
Yeah, but you know, it doesn't get that cold here, and I was just, you know, it's a little
I
weird.
think it's just because British people hate their lives slightly more than Americans.
I
We all just sort of like you have a desire to live, whereas we embrace death.
Well, apparently not recently. It's been proven. No one wishes to live. All right.
Oh, no one wants to
because
live.
of-
I don't wanna
because
live
of the-
anymore.
because the 80s nostalgia, you know.
Yeah, any nostalgia.
Yeah.
The good times are gone. Our innocence have been taken.
Trying to get that back, but
You can't
yeah.
unwatch Basic Instinct.
no.
That's what collectively destroyed everyone's lives.
Well,
Like it's coming of age thing. Every parent in Europe actually makes their children sit down at the age of 10 and makes them watch Basic.
Mine didn't, so I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Did you actually think I
Oh.
was being serious?
I didn't know what you're talking about, sir.
Well, it's a movie pretty much that defined now in terms of history for one scene
It's
and one scene
defined
only.
one scene in which
Yeah.
someone gets her knackers out.
Right.
Yeah, by crossing their legs in a very wide fashion, and yeah,
How do you cross your legs in a wide fashion?
Uncrossing.
Being flexible.
I mean,
legs,
when
I
you
think.
cross your legs, it's like you.
I don't know, I've seen some fucked up contortionists like, hey,
What?
contortionists.
Anyway.
They're the ones that like bend their bodies to the point where
Yeah.
there's something biologically wrong with them.
yes,
Yeah.
and then they use them in movies and
Yeah,
things
it
like that.
scares me.
Horror
Mm.
movies.
It scares me.
Horror movies.
Body horror, I can't watch body horror stuff. Like,
Oh, not my. Yeah, everyone keeps on saying that I seem fearless because nothing scares me, and I'm like, well, that's not true. But movies, they don't.
oh.
And
Actually, speaking of horror,
going
speaking
to,
of
like,
horror,
those, like-
has anyone seen Black Mirror
Yeah.
Series 3?
Yes.
You've seen Black Mirror? Yes! Someone
No.
else has seen it. Finally!
It's amazing.
It's so good!
Everyone
it's
should.
so good!
Also,
So is it an
Yeah,
anthology
yeah.
series?
And Charlie
is
Brooker
what I'm-
predicted.
Okay.
he
yeah.
predicted Trump.
Yeah.
The Cameron pig incident. What was
Yeah,
it called?
it's weird. Piggate.
Piggate, right? Yeah. So
It's very weird. It's very...
Yeah.
But like...
Yeah, but the Simpsons also
but this was-
did that a
One, this was
lot
more
longer
recent,
ago.
and two, this was... Basically,
Yeah.
okay, this is a more old episode, so I'm going to go into the actual plot of it. Basically, the plot was a TV cartoon, like a TV cartoon that, like, basically, its job was to be one of those viewers who's just rude to politician things all the time. And then eventually they thought, this thing's so popular, why don't we do a big publicity
Yeah.
stunt and run for office? And then he kind of wins.
Hmm.
And it,
yeah.
What was the state? One of the states got had a write-in. It was, I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh,
Yeah.
These Nuts. These Nuts got a percentage of the vote in North
I'm pretty sure
Carolina
people wrote Harambe in the American
during
election.
80s Nostalgia Week. Yeah,
People are gonna die.
but yeah, that
John
and they had to report that on
Cena!
the news because it was.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's
All
that's
right.
one I
Probably
didn't see.
somewhere, because memes are funny, right?
Yeah, it's
No.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's got to actually be a percentage, and only in North Carolina did it actually do that. But D's Nuts was in third place. So
What is happening with the world? Yeah.
80s nostalgia.
Well, it's ironic you say 80s nostalgia because we're slowly going back to 1984. But it's a literary reference. Does anyone get it?
Okay, I'm racking my brain right now because
Oh my God, no.
I think I know it.
The book.
And as soon as you
As
say
in,
it, I'm gonna
it's
be like,
literally the book 1984.
yeah. But
Yeah.
It's
why am I thinking of Fahrenheit? Because anyways.
Wait, Fahrenheit is in the game Indigo Prophecy, because if so, no. Like, really, no.
No,
Right,
not like that. No.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
George Orwell.
George Orwell, yeah, right.
We were. Yeah.
Basically, the plot of 1984 is, and I've not read it, I've basically read one excerpt of it. It's,
No, I've read it before. The
Oh, right.
problem is I couldn't remember the name of it because I was
Alright.
thinking of
it's literally
yeah
1984.
George Orwell and the surveillance state and the face
Yeah,
on the
but
screen,
the-
and, which pretty much summarizes.
The surveillance state
nostalgia.
is actually
Yeah.
only the second largest theme or thing in the book. The main thing is actually the thought control through language, so that they don't have the
Yes.
words to describe their non-freedoms.
Say you want to say something is bad, they
Yeah.
want you to say it is ungood, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when someone says, "Ooh, that's so Orwellian," and they just mean surveillance, that's not really what the book is about.
Well, it's more like government control over aspects of everybody's life in just a generalized term.
I do English in the UK, so I can never forgive George Orwell for Animal Farm. I can never forgive it because I had to give 10 solid weeks of my, like, a quarter of the year's worth of English lessons just on Animal Farm, and that's not a long book. It's not.
No.
Why is the world so sad?
That's why we have comedy podcasts. Actually,
This isn't very funny anymore.
We're
Yeah, we
it's not
shouldn't-
funny right now.
we shouldn't call ourselves a
puppies.
comedy
Hey, I'll
podcast.
tell you what,
Kittens.
I watched
Horses
I watched
apparently.
Adaptation recently, and here's time for
I-
a new section of the film. That's a section noise, because we're going to be funny. I watched Adaptation, and I think Nicolas Cage needs a boost in his career, so we're going to make a film for him. Okay,
Okay.
so what we need Nicolas Cage to do is something that was back to his roots of adaptation. So we're going to make him do Adaptation 2, Adapt Harder. And that's where my joke ends, because I can't think of how that's going to go.
Wasn't that the point of the movie in the first place? That is technically a sequel to something that was unrelated to it.
I guess it was technically a sequel to Being John Malkovich, but...
Okay, hold on. You guys saw Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you think about it?
6 out of 10 I gave it.
Okay.
That's good. It's above average, I just wouldn't really watch it again. It's funny.
Okay. Okay. My friends were talking to me about it, and they're all like speculating about the sequel and everything,
Ooh,
and how
They already
exactly
said
they're
in
going to
the
make us.
after credits bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But like
please
how
don't.
how could they make a sequel that's better than the first one, but also still be low in budget?
They basically have to do a 22 Jump Street where they basically shift the joke from being ha-ha, we've kind of got a low budget, to being ha-ha, we did really well, now we've got to do a sequel that everyone wants to be just as good.
So I think they should just skip the second movie, and
They want
the
full
second
relationship,
movie
Larry
is
on.
actually... No, I think they just skip the second movie, and the third movie is the consequences of the second movie that didn't happen, but they just flash back to it. And the idea was that they have cable now, so they could do time travel.
Or they rebooted.
And technically, you could do that too and make fun of reboots at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of different ideas, but
Yeah.
I always love the concept of in TV shows where like a secondary character is having like this grand adventure and everything, and something way more exciting than the actual episode itself, while everyone else is just doing a normal episode, but then it flashes over. And they did that for like the Adventure Brothers, and recently I saw I was a little late to this, but Person of Interest did it as well, where they flash to like the cop, like everybody's like a secret agent and everything, and then they just have a cop that helps them, and they always he's been sent off on this mission to just help this one woman while everybody else is trying to save the country. And it's a very spy-like episode where they're just talking to a bunch of people and they do the normal stuff, but he's like having this massive shootout and makes out with a model and drives his car off the top of a building and all this other stuff. And his episode would have been way better, but they just flashed to it like, I wonder what he's doing. And he's like in this massive gunfight, dual pistol, shooting people left and right, things exploding in the background. And then they just cut back to the normal episode. They're like sitting there drinking coffee. But that concept in like TV shows is amazing. So I think a good idea would possibly be doing that with a full-fledged movie. Just flashing back to remember when this happened and it's like this amazing, crazy thing, and then
I like the idea that just
they're
like,
just standing there,
like just
not,
they'll have like
just
a
talking about it.
deep-heated, like The Departed level. How are we gonna just deal with this problem? And then it just cuts to a white screen. The character that was just in the conversation walks to the centre, turns to the camera and goes, "Remember when this happened in the other film?" And it just shows a clip. He goes, "Huh, that was kind of weird, wasn't it?" They just walks off and the scene continues.
Well, you had brought up House of Cards, right?
Oh yes, in the podcast it
Yeah.
never was.
Yeah, the podcast, the prequel, where we seem to be a lot more on target
Deadpool 2 of this
than we are right now.
podcast.
Yeah. So flashing back to that podcast, when you were talking about House of Cards, and he keeps turning to the camera and just talking directly, breaking the fourth wall and everything, that kind of thing, but with a flashback where the guy from House of Cards is like diving, like running through a glass hallway as everything explodes and paper shooting up in the air and doves are flying and things like that. That kind of situation. Yeah. I think that would be really funny. Yeah. I watched Keanu for the first time too, and that was not as funny as everyone said it was.
I've not heard of that. What is it?
This guy ends up finding a cat, and it turns out that drug dealers are after it.
It
so
was the Key and
I
Peele
saw
movie,
those.
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was funny. It just wasn't as funny as everyone kind of made it out to be. Didn't use the
It's like
kitten.
it sounds like the plot
well
of one
enough,
of those
really,
90s films
but-
where action stars tried to make themselves kid-friendly, like, Kindergarten Cop, Tooth Fairy and Mr. Nanny and all that.
Yeah, it's like that, except for super violent
So
though.
there's that,
So
at least, you know.
Oh.
Just Arnold Schwarzenegger just teaching these kids
Yeah.
to love people, and then he's just in a tutu, and then just two armed guards burst in. He just reaches into this kid's birthday cake, just pulls out two AK-47s that was somehow stashed in this cream cake. Just pulls them out, just goes, "Ah!" And there's just blood everywhere, all over these little kids' faces. Just go, cool.
well, that would be an R-rated Last Action Hero, I think.
Basically, yeah.
Which is a movie nobody remembers.
I
Yeah,
remember
but
Last
yeah.
Action Hero.
Yeah, I guess they remember it, but not fondly. I think it's looked back on fondly now, but at the time, nobody
In the
found it
same way
funny.
that Batman and Robin is looked on fondly.
No, actually, some people really, apparently do look back on Last Action Hero with some fond memories.
I think, again, that's just like
So-
80s and 90s nostalgia,
Well, I mean, it was a nostalgia film during the era. So
Yeah.
it didn't do well during the era, but when people watch it, they're like, oh yeah, 80s movies were, 80s and early 90s movies were totally just like this. And that's stupid.
Stranger Things is an example that just if you can just do it authentically enough, then you can do well. And that was basically what Stranger Things did.
Yeah, but I
Well,
think
yeah.
Stranger Things wouldn't have lost much if they didn't have all the 80s nostalgia. And I think,
Well, no, I think you still have to be somewhat well written. Like if Last Action Hero just had like a
Yeah.
scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger turned to the camera and went, "Blah, blah, blah, blah," probably wouldn't have
Well,
done
I
so.
think with Stranger Things, their goal was basically just to eliminate cell phones.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that works, but
Yeah.
I just mean because so many people say like, oh, they like it because it has so much 80s nostalgia and tries to make references to comic books. Like with 11, she's
Yeah.
basically just a reference to which one was the in the first episode they have a bicycle race and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna take that issue from you, and that's 11 is basically just a reference to that comic. And anyway,
Yeah.
but I think yes, but it wasn't good because of the 80s nostalgia, but because it was well written and was just
Yeah, fair enough.
a good
Yeah.
series. And I was really surprised when I heard they're going to do a second season, which I'm
Yeah.
excited for, but I'm not
It
sure.
always feels weird in horror because I've not actually seen Stranger Things yet because I don't have Netflix. But it always feels weird then, like when like a horror franchise has sequels, because it seems
Yeah.
like, and
Well-
ironically, it's a series that has the most sequels out of anything.
Well, because they're cheap and they make a lot of money.
Yeah, it's like,
So,
like the thing
yeah.
about horror film is the scare is, are the characters going to make it? Or like that's what the horror should be. Like, you know, Black Mirror, the horror episode of that was fucking terrifying.
Which horror
Yeah.
episode do you mean?
Playtest.
All...
No, the actual horror episode, the one that's designed to make you shit yourself.
I don't know which
Fucking
one
watch
you
this
mean.
now.
They are really
That-
scary for me.
No, but like this was like actually designed to be a sci-fi horror film. Like that was
Yeah.
the video game one where he's in the house.
Ah, yeah. Right.
That episode fucking terrified me.
Yeah.
I gotta watch this show then.
Oh,
yeah, it's really
seriously,
good,
you need to watch Black Mirror. It is so good.
Yes.
San Junipero.
Hmm?
Sorry, there's an episode called San Junipero that's like.
So it's kind of like X-Files.
Yeah, it's very like the writer Charlie
with
Brooker said like
technology.
his main influence was stuff like Twilight Zone and all those kind of things. It's really
Okay,
it's
yeah.
really good.
No, I'm totally down to watch
Oh,
that.
it's so
Okay,
good. It's
I gotta
so
check it
good.
out. Maybe I'll have something to talk about.
So, like literally the past week, I've basically just been going up to people just going, "Have you seen Black Mirror? No, go watch Black Mirror. Have you seen Black Mirror? No, go and watch Black Mirror."
Okay, speaking of our lost podcast, also Rick and Morty is on Netflix, and you just said you don't have it, so
No, it's fine. I've pirated it. I couldn't wait any longer. I just watched it. I'm a
Oh,
pirate.
okay.
I'm a filthy. I'm,
what
no,
did you just say? Nothing?
I didn't say
Okay.
anything. I didn't. No.
yeah,
Are both seasons on Netflix or
I think
just
so.
both
well,
seasons actually. Yeah, I was very
Alright.
surprised by that. Yeah, it popped up this week, and I could not watch it. I wanted to review all the episodes and everything, but no, the hotel Wi-Fi was
I
absolute
gotta say, the
garbage.
people who are listening to this are going to be so confused as to what we're talking about, because we basically said, in the last episode we talked
Well-
about House of Cards and Rick and Morty, and considering how train of thought
Yeah,
this
well,
podcast
I mean-
has gone, I don't know how they're going to conceive that. We also,
We introduced ourselves better. We
Probably
also did
should
a
have
lot
recorded that
of things
episode.
in
Yeah.
the first episode.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the idea was just to see if we could
and now
actually do the
it's- And now it's
podcast.
recorded and
and then,
everything's just gone off.
Yeah. Does anyone remember our name?
I can't even remember my own name.
We should.
So it's yeah. So you're still watching the podcast with no aim, or
I named them. I can't remember them.
Now bollocks.
yeah. Oh yeah, Our Bollocks. This episode would be called
to be
Our
fair,
Bollocks.
like in the last
because
episode, I did briefly touch on a dream in which I sexually assaulted Sean Connery, so I was still pretty weird in that. And I want to.
Yeah.
Part of me really doesn't want to.
that is a
explain
much
any of
better
that
episode.
And just let the listeners figure it out.
Now, I have a question for you. Do you remember our
Yeah, do you remember
fourth
back in
episode?
episode 20
and,
where we just talked about the geopolitical climate of North Korea? We were very on point there.
Yeah. Well, you know, when Russia attacks China and World War III started, that episode.
Yeah.
That's when we get really
You
popular.
realise if we ever get
And-
to an
and-
episode, if we get to an episode 20, we're gonna have to
Then
do that
the-
now.
and Joel gets addicted to hard drugs and
That's gonna be the basically we're going to actually age the podcast as if it was an actual person growing up. So this is when our thoughts are totally disconnected. Then we'll get to the rough teen years where Joel becomes addicted to heroin.
now remember.
Which teen is addicted to heroin?
Then we'll get to episode 20 where we get heavily political, and then we'll get to episode 80, and then
Well,
just
we'll do
all
the
die.
like episode 30 something. It'll be like one of those like rock band documentaries. We'll have someone interview everybody, and
Yeah, we'll talk about how much we miss Joel now that he's dead.
Joel's like, what? Wait, why am I the one who dies? No,
You're
no,
addicted to heroin.
yeah.
Oh no.
No,
I've
yeah,
got a
and
funny
I
story
It
overdosed.
would
with
be a
drugs,
million times
actually.
better if Joel
No,
was
this
the only one alive.
No, there's just a heroin needle like directly into his eyeball.
And then I'm
he's
asked.
talking totally coherently, talking about how we both just died
Yeah.
Yeah.
from stroking one bit of weed.
Yeah.
I've got a great story about drug use because this was so perfect because this presentation we've got to do like a what makes a good society kind of thing, and one of the things on it was basically guarding illegal drugs and that thing. So obviously with marijuana being sort of on the fence of illegal now because certain states in America are legalizing it and everything, one of the people in our class decided to ask, so do we count marijuana and all that? And the teacher didn't know how to react because she seems to have never actually considered the thought that maybe marijuana doesn't ruin your life from smoking one doobie. And she actually kept that girl behind after class. Like, this was actually at the time where we could go home. She kept her behind and just like, marijuana ruins lives. Do you realise that? Yeah, it was... Oh.
Well, I had a friend. His name was Tony, and he smoked a doobie, and he threw himself out of a 8-story window immediately. Like, it didn't even hit his bloodstream yet. He just immediately jumped out the window, screaming something about the devil is taking his baby, and he just jumped out the window. I mean, that's marijuana.
And then, but you had the you were smart enough to record his fall, so when you reverse his screams, then you can hear a subliminal message to everyone here that they have to smoke pot.
This really hitting home for me because I had a brother who took LSD as a baby and went on to become an Oxford major.
Yeah. Was he a part of some sort of Orwellian government conspiracy?
No, he's dead now.
To create a horse magazine?
They're controlling our mind through horse magazines. It all makes sense.
Yeah, that's why there's so many podcasts about horses. It's all like a giant conspiracy. Once you do one, you have to create your own, and it just spreads like a virus.
Hey guys, did you hear about the Shetland ponies and the races?
Hey guys,
who won the race?
They have new types of horseshoes that snap onto the horse's hooves, so that you don't actually have to nail them in.
Oh, wow.
And it's supposed to be like healthier and help injuries and all this other stuff. I could talk at great length about it, and you can hear about all this on my new podcast, which is
podcast with no horse.
Horses with no aim.
I'll make a really shit race.
We just let them go into the woods. I'm sure a lot of horse people would be really mad about that statement, but yes, this is. I'm going to convert this podcast also to about horses. You just don't know it yet, so be prepared.
The problem with a podcast that rambles this much is when I have to find a way to name every individual episode. What do I call this?
Episode 2. Just
an hour of
episode 2.
An hour of politics 2.
Just call this episode 2, and then people will wonder where episode 1 was. Exactly.
Yeah, we just didn't bother to record the first one because we thought we were just going to talk for 5 minutes, so fuck off.
So. But if you support us on Patreon, we can recreate the episode just for you.
No, we'll recreate all the episodes we mentioned on this podcast if you donate more than $15, and you could be a part of it, even though not mentioned now. Dave and Phil, Steve, John. So if you have any of those names, donate a lot of money.
I see you, Max. You're listening to this and you're thinking, oh,
Frederick.
Maybe I'll support them on Patreon, but I don't have the money. Yeah, but you're working a 16-hour job a day and you've got millions and you can't be bothered. You fascist! Fuck you, Max.
Oh, what?
Fuck
oh,
you,
yeah.
Max.
Laura.
Matthias.
Melanie. Sarah. What's the weirdest name you can...
Jewel?
You know someone who's called...
There's a guy named Jewel who got elected in the office.
Yeah.
Because Britain's just a bunch of unimaginative weirdos. We don't have any like crazy people. They're all in America.
I left
we don't
because
have
I wasn't
lawyers,
creative enough. They kicked me out. Yeah. That's
You must have written this many books to leave.
yeah. I didn't have the 80s nostalgia, and so they kicked me out.
No.
Yeah. It's sad.
Oh no, I've got the name. I've got the name now. The podcast with no aim. Episode 1, episode 2, Electric Boogaloo.
The next one would have to be.
Got it.
Well, wait. How many movies do you have to do before it's in space?
I think the rule for. I think it took 10. Was it 10 for Friday the 13th?
I thought it was. Oh yeah, Friday the 13th.
I think it was called Jason X. But I can't remember whether that's a Roman numeral.
No, I
or
think
just
that was the
because it
10th one, but I
space.
believe all the other horror movies did it in on the fourth. Fourth one was always in space. Because I think Leprechaun
seems about right.
set the pattern for that.
No, Leprechaun went into.
No,
the
first
hood.
it went in the hood, and then it went into space, and then it went back to the hood.
No, then it had Leprechaun
Yeah.
back in the hood, and then we had Warwick Davis dressed up as a little leprechaun in a barge singing, "Lep in the hood comes do no good. Lep in the hood comes do no good. I'm so bad, I'm good." You might think I'm joking. I'm not.
No,
That's a genuine thing.
Not. It's terrible.
I feel like there is somewhere an XKCD comic about this, like what the like the subtitle for the
There
second,
probably
third,
is.
fourth, fifth,
There probably is.
sixth, seventh.
Yeah.
Eight,
It went
10th
Leprechaun 1 in the
movies.
hood, Leprechaun 2 still in the hood, Leprechaun 3 chilling in the hood, Leprechaun 4 into space, Leprechaun 5 back into the hood, Leprechaun 6 back into space.
No.
Then
They're
7 back into the hood, back
space
back
hood.
into the space hood was episode 8. Then it went to
Back into
Leprechaun
the space hood.
Legends, then Leprechaun Origins, then Leprechaun versus Jason.
and then the reboot happened, and then there was another 20,
Yeah.
and
That's sad again. Let's stop being sad.
and he went back in time, and it turns out that the leprechaun was the thing that the catalyst for all human evolution, and then he went back into space.
We should
Yeah.
go back and kill it.
We had to go back in time, kill him,
Stop it
so
demonstrating.
humanity never happened. Yeah. That's yeah.
Better that way.
But then in the place of the leprechaun, something else arises.
Yes,
Played by
and
Nicolas
that's
Cage.
where adaptation to
There we
adaptation
go.
comes in, and that's what the sequel is. It's about the.
So this is our first episode, and we've talked mostly about sequels and TV shows at this point. Non-existent sequels,
Yeah.
by the way.
I think we should actually plot out adaptation too.
What about Con Air? Con Harder or Con More?
Oh,
Con Ocean.
Con Ocean.
Yeah, there you go.
Con Space.
Space.
Con Space. No, that's the fourth
Yeah,
one.
it has to
That's
be the fourth one. So it'd be
Uh,
Con Air, Con Sea,
Con Air.
Con Ground,
Sea.
Con Volcano. I mean,
Or is it like fire, air,
yeah.
water?
So
earth,
volcano,
like the four
just,
elements.
You know, Con Air. No number, just volcano.
No, it's not Con Earth, and it's just the entire planet's been taken over by Nicolas Cage and criminally insane John Malkovich.
Yeah. Well, by that point, they wouldn't have the money for Nicolas Cage, so they would hire somebody else who just kind of acts crazy, but you know, doesn't quite pull it off as well. But they pull in somebody. They pull back in John Malkovich, who died at the end of the first one, but it turns out he's got like a twin brother.
No, he had 3 other identical twins who are the bad guys in the first 4. Then when they go into space, they start cloning him.
Yeah. Okay.
Is he actually isn't shown
I think
how
that
he
the
dies
plane
in the
explodes
movie,
with him
I
in it.
didn't
I
I don't think the
can't
plane
remember.
I don't think the plane exploded.
All right, so they can still Reichenbach fall it like
Yeah.
in Sherlock Holmes or in Sherlock
Yo.
for the millennials. No, actually, millennial is such a big term. What are
Teens nowadays are the millennials.
like
I don't know.
teens
I always
nowadays?
assume millennials.
What are they called?
I always assume like
Oh.
every generation name's about 10 years
No,
or
but
so. So it's like 1995 to 2005.
People who are
still
30 years old
millennials.
are also called millennials.
And then it's
So
like 1995 to 1985 would be like Generation Y, then Generation X, and then all that kind of stuff. Baby boomers and all that stuff. It doesn't really work. There are people like born in the 80s that claim they're millennials, and I don't understand how that works, but... yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
technically,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fucking.
does anyone call
think
themselves
so.
a millennial?
I kind of do it when
No.
I'm like mocking people, but I never really refer to my generation. Like, you know, because everyone's like, all these damn millennials are...
Well, you know, it's just the pattern of things. Like, the old people are like, oh, those damn kids. Just say you're getting old. I mean, the.
Now I'd say, oh, you damn adults, you've fucked this world up for us, haven't you? Why are you so... Is this because we didn't call? Damn you, Grandad.
Well, I mean, it's like, I was trying to explain to family members, it's like, you know, we're just stuck in this pattern, and, you know, old people constantly being like, hey, you're just a kid, you don't know anything, and then they responded with, well, you're obviously not old enough to understand. Like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I just said we're stuck in this pattern
It doesn't make sense.
where you constantly look down on people who are even slightly younger than you, and are like, well, you're just not old enough. I'm only 3 years younger than you. It's really, you know, like, yeah, those 3 years were.
But in those,
Those
3 years,
that's where you get the age
Yeah.
of
the
nostalgia
spirit
from.
will be
No,
broken.
I didn't experience as much 80s, so that my nostalgia just isn't as great. That's what it is,
No.
obviously. So the 80s nostalgia is not strong in me, in my spirit, and so I just they kicked me out. There you go. Yeah, hold on.
Who's that? Oh, that's your dog, right?
Okay, we're gonna have to cut this because yeah, somebody just started freaking out at our door. Hold on one minute.
Welcome to the dog interlude.
I'm surprised because I've got a dog as well, and that's a yappy bastard, but it's not done it once yet, and I'm just waiting. It's gonna happen, and I'm just waiting for it, and I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna punt the little bastard. It's a West Highland Terrier, it'll die quickly, it won't feel any pain. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm waiting. I am waiting for it to go. It's...
We never had any pets because my mother was allergic to everything, and fish are boring,
Gosh.
and so we didn't have any pets. Yeah. I don't know.
I couldn't know because I just know one day they're going to die. They will walk out on me and
Yeah.
they will die, and I'll never see them again.
Yeah.
I'll not know.
Yeah, so that's yeah, pet. Oh man.
No,
That
we'll
was
get
the
into it.
dog interlude.
Now back to
Now back to
now back to an hour of bollocks.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
That was a card thing. Uh-huh.
Oh crap! 1, 2, 3.
I don't know what's going. Do you know what? I'll not edit any of this out. Everyone can hear about that.
Yeah. No.
Maybe we should do the syncing at the end of it all.
Well, you do want to kind of try and sync, especially if there's like any video involved at the beginning and end of everything. So
Yeah,
I think
right.
I'll just do like an MS.
But yeah, it wouldn't
I'll
be
do
a-
like, I think the thumbnail of every episode on YouTube, at least, is just going to be an MS Paint drawing of like just something vaguely related to it. So this will just be an MS Paint number 2, and maybe the word 80s written somewhere, and that'll be it.
we need like a like a picture of like Nicolas Cage sitting in a chair, and then like his face, like faded, but huge in the background, like one of those. And yeah.
Yeah, no.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
going to be the title. That will be the cover art for adaptation 2. Just be Nicolas Cage, just sat on a throne.
But I would think that might actually like make people think that his twin brother came back. You know what? There you go. Adaptation 2. What was the brother's name?
I can't remember.
The revenge of his brother. He comes back.
Adaptation 2. Adapt one again. Just call it that.
His brother's revenge. Don't even use his real name to say.
He'll never
brother's
refer to it at
revenge
any
and
point. He'll
just
keep
go
referring
with
to it like everyone. Like the first thing will basically just be the funeral, and they'll only refer to it as Nicolas Cage's brother. Not his character's name, just Nicolas Cage's brother. So I think we will never forget Nicolas Cage's brother. He was kind. He was. That's just how
And he pops out of the coffin and throws out like dual guns and starts just blowing everyone away, and he steals the flower and runs off.
I hated the first movie. Remake it, but better.
And then it turns out everyone's John Malkovich
And everyone was John Malkovich in a wig.
the whole time.
It won't even be hidden. Just we couldn't afford extras, so we'll just have John Malkovich in every seat in a slightly different wig.
Yeah, and
That explains why they all wear the same.
well, I mean,
the same clothes.
there were scenes in Being John Malkovich that are just like that.
Exactly.
Just go
So
back
it's
to
just-
John Malkovich. Yeah.
What the fuck is this? I mean, I've said that
Nicolas-
quite a few times, but Jesus Christ.
Well, just go back to Nicolas Cage, and like he finally stops his brother from stealing the flower, and then he's like, by the way, I was never your brother the whole time. He pulls off the mask. It's John Malkovich.
And then then Nicolas Cage tries to revenge for that.
Nicolas
Because
Cage
he's
as
the
the
brother,
brother
but
tries
the
to
other person isn't the
I thought you were
brother,
gonna say
so
that-
the brother still has to have a revenge. So he attacks him, but
I thought you were going to say...
they aren't brothers.
I thought you were going to say then that Nicolas Cage's character also tries to pull his face off and say that he's John Malkovich too. But he can't, because he's actually Nicolas Cage, which is the last 5 minutes is him just trying to pull his own face off.
And then all the John Malkovich persons pull the face up, and they're all Nicolas Cage.
Whoa! We need Inception to like sort this film out. Just Inception like...
Dang.
Yeah, you just have buildings folding in on themselves in the background for no reason.
The entire world is actually ending as adaptation 2 happens, and it's all just in this church. Well, literally everything around him is dead. There's just a woman outside going, "My children are dead! I watched them die!" And Nicolas Cage is just like, "But my brother is dead!"
Well, Nicolas Cage goes over to the woman and it's like, "Let me see your baby," and it's John Malkovich.
The woman's John Malkovich.
And then at the end, it cuts to it cuts to Nicolas Cage sitting in his agent's office, and he listens to his agent telling the story, and he then just says, "No, I'm not going to act in that film."
Wasn't that the ending to film 42, where the guy like is listening to all the sketches that comprise of the entire film, and he's like, "That's bullshit." He's like, no, it's really good. He just walks out, and then he ends up getting like shooting a bunch of people or something. I don't know. I don't remember that movie very well, but it's pretty
No
dumb.
one does.
The only
No
thing I
one
do
does.
remember from that was the guy who played Wolverine with testicles on his chin. Yeah. Anyways,
Wait, Hugh Jackman had testicles on his chin.
yeah, he played a straight scene of him dating somebody, and the whole time he has testicles hanging off his chin, and that was the joke.
Oh That sounds
Quality.
It sounds like it would either be really
quality.
funny if it was written well, or it would be so unwatchably unfunny it would hurt. And I get the
Yeah.
feeling it's the latter.
Well,
you know?
I think if I'm remembering correctly, they went with the idea that he was unaware of the situation.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be
So,
quite unfunny.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, oh, that's shocking. Okay. Keeps going on. Keeps going on. Keeps going on. And then he tears off his face and it ends up that he's John Malkovich.
You see, the thing is, I don't know how far to that you made it up, so I'm guessing the John Malkovich bit's made up. But I'm loving the idea that Hugh Jackman actually pulled his face off and just actually pulled his chin balls off, and that's how
No,
the film ended.
okay, so adaptation 2 at the very, very last second.
Hugh Jackman shows up and he's John Malkovich with testicles
No.
on his face.
Nicolas Cage, the brother played by Nicolas Cage, pulls off his face, and it's shit. I forgot who it was.
And it's shit, yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds
it's
like
just-
that.
Still
This is
walking
a
the
pilot.
turd.
Yeah.
Just to be fair, that's what this podcast is.
Yeah. Well, at this point, it's total bollocks. Yeah.
The
It's
Walking
an hour
Dead
of
podcast.
bollocks. We need to get it to an hour and a half of bollocks. We need to keep going.
So like yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
God.
yeah. So yeah. I
You
don't know where to go
where
from there.
from this.
I don't know where to go from there. That's there's only one way to go, and that's up. I just remembered.
Speaking of
It's-
that, I just
yeah.
remembered I actually did just say I heard a dream about sexually assaulting Sean Connery and didn't explain it.
No.
Yeah,
We explained
yeah,
it last time.
we
You
should-
Exactly,
find that
yeah, but
we
episode.
should just
Yeah, episode 1 we
casually-
explained it. You should have heard it.
You should have heard it and find it. It's very rare. We sell it for $25 on our site as a
Patreon,
DVD.
yeah.
Yeah.
$25 a month and you get the podcast
well,
that never
if-
was.
If you donate half that much for 3 months, then we'll send it to you. Yeah.
We'll
yeah.
send the audio files from that recording, which will just be an envelope.
I just remembered the end to my last joke that I never finished. Yeah. Anyways, end of adaptation 2. Gets his brother. Nicolas Cage is playing his brother. He takes off his face and it's John Travolta. And then doves fly,
no.
and they recreate the ending to Face Off.
Oh, I love Face Off. Oh, that makes me happy.
And then you find out the whole time this is actually the sequel to Face Off, and Travolta's character never
Wait,
actually
this
died.
is
so.
actually... Let me get this straight. The actual name of this film is Face Off 2, Adaptation 2, Adaptada, The Revenge of His Brother.
Colon, being John Malkovich too.
And then in brackets remake.
2016. God, my dog's going. I knew the dog was going to go. The dog's going. I swear to God,
Yeah.
one injection
Well-
is all it takes. It actually stopped going. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh man.
Where did it go?
He's going again.
So he came back.
Yeah. So
Are you alright?
yeah.
So that's Face Off 2, Adaptation 2, Adapt Harder, being John Malkovich 2, The Revenge of His Brother.
Part 1.
Yep.
It's a trilogy.
No. No, I say we take the idea from the beginning, and it's part 2. But we never made never made a part 1. We just do flashbacks back to the.
No, it's
the
part 3 because part
yeah.
1's adaptation.
Oh yeah, that's right. No. This is part 1 of the Brothers' Revenge.
Oh God,
So-
I've got another change to the title. Face Off 2, Adaptation 3.
Does this end with something sexual molestation of Sean Connery or anything like that?
No, we're saving that for the sequel.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
big credit scene.
Colon the wall.
God.
Idea of this whole thing. Yeah.
Now who's going to dig out the full name out of the recording?
So
Okay, it's face. Let me just try to remember this. It's Face Off 2.
Okay.
Adaptation 3. Adapt harder. I know if it's 3, it'd be adapt with a vengeance. So it's Face Off 2, Adaptation 3,
Yeah.
Adapt with a vengeance. The Revenge of His Brother being John Malkovich 2.
Okay.
You forgot the colons, and I thought the colon was spelled out.
Yeah, it's spelled out. There's not even a space between any of them. This is just one word.
Okay, so
With the colon in like capitals.
So what is the name of this episode? Is this episode 2?
It's hard to tell. Okay, no.
Episode 1.
I've got it. Episode 2. Face Off 2. Adaptation 3. This is gonna be
an
a
hour of
fucking
bollocks
bitch
colon
to edit.
spelled out. So it's I'm going to say how it is. It's an hour of bollocks in brackets. Brackets in no. So an hour of bollocks colon in brackets spelled out. In bracket close, and then episode 2, and then adaptation 2.
I've got it. I'm going to do this.
Okay.
So it's going to be called Episode 1, Episode 2, all spelled out obviously, Episode 2, Electric Boogaloo. Then the actual thumbnail on the video will be the poster for, I've got to say it again, Face Off 2, Adaptation, fuck it up, Adaptation 3,
I would do the cover Face Off, but then put John Malkovich's face over John Travolta's, and then the plant face from Adaptation on the other side. Yeah. Okay.
I'm so knackered right now. I'm laughing.
All right. So, is that an episode?
I think that can be the episode. So, that's the podcast with literally no aim. Episode 2. So, has anyone got anything they'd like to give a shout out to? I know, Joel, you do music, don't you?
Yeah.
Would you like to give that a shout out?
I'm currently working on an album, but I don't have anything worth mentioning released yet. So.
Would you have any music that you've done that I can use as the opening and closing music or anything, or should I just?
Well, the listeners will know.
Yeah. Shh. Don't talk about it.
But, okay, yeah. Let's keep it as a surprise for the listeners that already know.
It'll be.
No, they've already heard it.
We haven't heard it.
Let's be honest. There's been an hour and 20 minutes of totally incomprehensible nonsense. Do you think they can remember their own names after this?
We don't know.
The listeners?
I can't remember my name. I think I'm genuinely actually pulling a blank on my middle name.
Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Are you having a stroke?
No, I think I'm...
Do you smell toast?
Well, when we do the documentary at the end of all this, and Matt's dead.
So...
Anyways, yeah. So, Matt, do you have any shout-outs?
Nope.
Well, I'm going to do a shout-out to 80s nostalgia and the constant remakes, and the big one that's currently going on right now. So, that's my shout-out.
Actually, I do have a shout-out. I have a shout-out to Hollywood. Come on, baby, let's get in bed together and make this sequel happen.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make this multiple sequel, part 2, 3, or 4 of, and then let's take the script and put it in space.
Come on, come on, they got 3 films out of The Hobbit. We can make a friggin' X-Men anthology universe out of this stuff.
It's a trilogy. Yeah, it's Adaptation 2, Part 1, Face Off 2,
I can't even remember anymore.
Don't say it again. Just
I've said it too many times.
Adapt
it's
harder.
getting burned on my- No, it's adapt with a vengeance.
Oh no, that okay. So adapt
Which
harder
one?
is the
Wait,
first
what?
part. Adapt with a vengeance,
Yes!
and then a revenge of the
And
brother.
then a good day to adapt
Stop.
hard and
Just-
adapt free or adapt hard.
Yeah.
I have shout out to John Cena. So yeah.
You gotta put the music. No, you can't put the music. This is a podcast. I'm thinking of. Hey, 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 hey.
I have a
Hey,
trumpet,
Ben.
but I can't play very well.
Yeah, that's not
But
loud.
I could try. So if you've just heard a trumpet, then you know that I recorded a trumpet, and if I didn't, then I didn't.
All right.
So
So this is the end. We're
This
gonna
is
go
the
to
end.
silence, and then I'm gonna do sync.
A minute of silence to just commemorate
let's
whatever
pray
the
for
fuck
fallen
this
Nicolas
was.
Cages.
Right. I think that's it. Okay.
All right.
Right. Goodbye then to every listener, and then we'll hang up in a minute.
1, 2, 3, clap.
The podcast with no aim. The podcast with no aim. Yeah, this podcast got a name. This the podcast with no aim.